What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. More previews for you today as we face Sheffield United tomorrow at Bramall Lane in the last 16 of the FA Cup, which looks like it is our best avenue if we want to win a trophy this year. A lot of the big teams are already out in the FA Cup. I think it's just Man City and Man United and Brighton left, right? They are our best kind of
top
competition.
half.
Yeah, they're the only ones left. So you got to say it does represent the best outcome for a trophy this year for Spurs.
Of course, FA Cup with the Champions League is such high quality. We're nowhere near the top of the league, so of course the FA Cup represents our best opportunity for a trophy. And we've already beaten Man City this season. We also gave them a really good game at the Etihad as well. So if we
gave them a good 45 minutes.
Yeah,
anyway.
we gave them a good game. But if we come up against Man City, if we can get past Sheffield United, come up against Man City, then you have to have a bit of confidence that we can take them on and try and win that game. Man United, obviously, in a great form at the moment, but obviously we haven't played them at home. We don't know what that's going to look like, and we're coming into form now. So I think Spurs have got to fancy their chance. Why wouldn't you fancy your chances in this kind of tournament with all the big boys heading out early? So if we can get past Sheffield United, we're into the quarterfinals, and then all of a sudden you're getting to the big rounds. Like, anything's possible once you get to a quarterfinal. So you have to be thinking about winning this trophy 100%. I don't want to... I know I said this, I guess, in the last round against Preston. I don't want to see a weakened team, but I really don't want us to. I don't want to turn up at Sheffield on tomorrow and we're starting with Tanganga, Sanchez, and Longley at the back or something like that. I want to see an experienced team. I want to see a team that I'm confident that we're not taking this game for granted. Obviously, I do think we're going to have some changes. I don't think we can play the same team, and I think you have to rotate the squad for sure. But I don't want Spurs to take this game lightly, because I think it's super important we get through and give this tournament a really good crack, because there's no reason why we can't battle. Even if Champions League is beyond us, there's no reason why we can't get top four and win the FA Cup. The way the season's shaping up, I really don't see why not. So I don't want any shocks tomorrow. I don't want to leave anything to chance. We need to get through tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I still expect some changes, but I still want to see that solid base. I want to see our first choice defence out there. I think the midfield pretty much picks itself, whether it be Højbjerg and Skip or Skip and Sarr or Højbjerg and Sarr. I'm pretty comfortable with any of the midfield options going into tomorrow. But it's the forward line, really. I would like to see Kulusevski. I mean, to be honest, I think Kane has to start tomorrow. I really think Kane has to start, unless you go Rishi as the number 9. How are you feeling about the forward line?
I don't think Kane specifically has to start. I think that we could go either Son or Rishi up front in this. I'd
like to see Rishi there, to be fair. He has to be given a go there at some point.
I think Kane, you can have Kane on the bench just in case. I don't think Kane specifically has to start, but I do think we need some senior players. I think I would start one of Kane or Son, probably. I would start Højbjerg.
Seeing as Son's been out of the team for the last 2 games.
Yeah, I would start like Dyer and Romero, but I think Kane could do with a bit of a rest then, being on the bench and only come on if need be. We've got more than enough quality to hurt Sheffield United without Kane, in my opinion. Give Richarlison a game in his most favoured position that he plays for Brazil up front. Or play him off the left and start Son up front. I think you could do that as well. Or even Danjuma, you could argue you can give him a go as well. I think Porro needs another start. I would start him as well. Just and have Emerson there just in case it's going flat again for him. But I'd give Porro another run out, because
Porro and Perisic on the wings.
Yeah, I would. I think that's more than enough to hurt Sheffield United, and that will give them stuff to think. Maybe if you take out Kane, you get a bit more creativity on the wings with Porro and Perisic. So I would go with them. I just think I don't want Tanganga to start. I don't want Sanchez to start. I don't want any players to be there who I'm not comfortable starting and risking the result in that way. I don't think we risk the result on those other players, but I want to see a few changes, but a solid foundation. I want to see Dyer, Pierre, and one of Kane or Son.
Yeah. When you're looking at Sheffield United, when the draw was made, everyone was quite happy getting a lower league team in the Championship, but this ain't going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination, albeit we do have previous against Sheffield United in cup competitions. You remember going up there 8 years ago in the Carabao Cup semi-final when Eriksson scored that crazy free kick. And have we played them in the cup since then as well? I'm pretty sure we have. Maybe
in the
I'm
cup?
wrong.
No, obviously they were in the Premier League for a couple of years.
Yeah, when Ndombele scored that brilliant goal.
And I remember they battered us when it was in lockdown at their ground. It was like that was when Lucas Moura had that ridiculous goal chalked off. I don't think we played them in a cup since. I don't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember them playing them in a cup, but. Obviously, they're playing quite well in the Championship right now, albeit they have lost 2 of their last 3 games, but they did get back to winning ways in their last game, so they'll take that confidence. But I did watch them in the last round, and they did scrape past Wrexham. It was really difficult for them. They could have lost both games. They could have lost both games, to be honest. Missed penalty. It was a last-minute goal that kept them in the first tie, and then they could have easily been 2-1 down in the second tie with a penalty which was missed by Wrexham, and they went on to score the winner, I think, in the 90th minute. So they definitely are lucky in a way to be in this round, but you can't take it lightly. I'm sure there's going to be different motivation. They're not the favourites now. They're the big underdogs, and that comes with it a different kind of approach to the game. So. Obviously, it's going to be very difficult. They're well organised. They play in a back 3. It's going to be hard to break them down. They're a very physical team as well. Bramall Lane can be rocking when on these kind of evenings as well.
It's a very hard ground to go to.
So
it really is.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want us to take this game for granted. You see how well. The Championship is not an easy league, and for them to be as high as they are, and I think they're 8 points clear of third place as well, so they're definitely on their way to an automatic promotion at the moment. So you can't take anything for granted. But of course, we go into this favourites, and we have to make sure we get through.
Yeah, and like you say, when you're talking about the form of Sheffield United, I mean, they are performing really well at home. 4 wins out of their last 5. That one loss did come against Middlesbrough, who are absolutely flying at the moment. Who's their match? Michael Carrick taking them over, and I think they're doing really well. But Sheffield United at home, second best home form in the Championship, just below Burnley, who are absolutely flying. Third best away form. I mean, they are really the second best team by some way in the Championship, performing really well. And it's going to be very difficult going to Bramall Lane, as it always is. Never mind whatever state Sheffield United it always is difficult going to Bramall Lane. Is the facts of the matter. They've scored 10 goals in the last 5 games, 4 goals conceded. So you can see the form is definitely there with Sheffield United. And I brought up that stat a couple of weeks ago saying we do maybe struggle more against. We actually find it easier against teams in a back 3. Maybe it will stand us in good stead with this game.
Yeah, you'd hope so. I think especially if we do have maybe more offensive wing-backs help break down a very well-organised Sheffield United team.
It will help pin those wing-backs back to Sheffield United.
I hope so. I know they've got a different manager now. It was Chris Wilder when they were in the Premier League. And who's their manager now? I can't even remember. I don't even know.
I'll tell you in a sec.
They've got a different manager now, but they've seemed to have regrouped, and they're playing with a back 3, but I think it's quite a different way of playing to when they were.
It's Paul
Heckingbottom, that's it. So he's doing a very good job at the moment, playing in that back 3 system. They've played it for years, and what we know is they're going to be very, very difficult to break down. They're going to be very physical, and I think Sheffield United they're proving to be a very solid outfit, and I think they're showing in the Championship how solid they are. So it's going to be very difficult going there to Bramall Lane if we take it for granted we're not on top of our game. Then they could easily cause a shock. You saw what happened last season, funnily enough, under Chris Wilder, when we went to Middlesbrough away. We weren't on it. We kind of maybe took the game a bit for granted. We end up going out in extra time, losing 1-0. We can't allow that same thing to happen tomorrow. We really can't. It's so important to me. There are some games sometimes like when it's a Carabao Cup or something, and you maybe play a weakened team and you go out and no one really cares. But I think tomorrow it's not like that. I think tomorrow it's so important for the club that we get to that quarter-final and really give this tournament a go.
Yeah, and it was also because our record in the FA Cup in the last 5 years, we haven't gone past this stage. So we need to get past this. And also, out of the teams that we've been losing to at this stage, pretty much over the last 3-4 years, have all been teams that we should be beating when you're looking at the likes of who was it? Middlesbrough, Everton. Who else was there? Norwich. You know, all these teams that we should be beating. And this one again is another potential banana skin where we need to be right at it if we want to win this game. When you're looking at the previous results between the two clubs, I mean, it spans over a long stretch of time because they haven't been in the Premier League for so long. But we've drawn 2 from 2015, 2019, and we lost that game that you were talking about with Lucas Moura in 2020. And then we won our previous 2 games against them last time they were in the Premier League. But I guess nothing really to go on head-to-head just because we haven't played them in so long. When you're looking at maybe the players that they do have to hurt us, their 2 strikers performing really well this year, Inde and Ollie McBurney. And Inde, you remember from the World Cup, played for Senegal, scored a couple of goals at the World Cup. How much of a threat do you reckon these guys can be to us, especially McBurney with his physical presence in there from set pieces and stuff?
Yeah, that's the difference between maybe how we play and they play. They like to play with a two-man strike force and 3 in the middle, whereas we like to play with a 3-4-3 and like to get really out wide and have those 3 players in the forward line. So we have to make sure we cut off the supply to McBurney, because if we allow him to get involved and you know, he's able to get the ball down, win headers, things like that, it's going to become very difficult. 11 goals this season. He's one who's actually, I remember when he was in the Premier League, I didn't think he looked too bad, to be honest. And I've always thought he was a decent striker. I don't think he just needs maybe better quality around him. He's been at Sheffield United for a while, but I think that McBurney's been brilliant, and Ndai as well. I think he's a young striker, high potential, very fast. And look, he's doing good. He's doing good at the moment. 10 goals and 7 assists. So fair play to Ndai. He looks good. And I think them as a partnership, we've got to make sure we're cutting off the supply to them and make sure they're not getting involved in the game, because if they are, then we could be in a bit of trouble. I think that's their best avenue. Get the ball to their wing-backs, get early service into the forward players, and I think that would be their best avenue for success. So we've got to make sure Dyer, Romero, and whoever's playing at the back is on their case, and not making sure they're not allowing them to get involved and get settled in the game.
If you bring up their opposition lineup graphic for Sheffield United, they do have some notable injuries. It's also worth noting that Heckingbottom was talking today in his press conference, and he says that a lot of the players in the team have gone down with illness, and it's a bit touch and go till tomorrow to see which one's going to start. He didn't state which ones, but he says a number of the players, which is very interesting. But when you're looking at this team, I mean, there's so many survivors from their team in the Premier League, isn't there? It's a very similar team when you're looking at Sander Berge, Norwood, Fleck, Egan. I'm not sure if McBurney was there. I think he was.
He was, yeah.
McBurney was there, and obviously you got George Baldock, Stevens, Brewster as well, which were there in the Premier League team. So you're looking at this team, and it's really not that far off from what they got relegated from, was it?
No, I just think they've added a bit more quality around them. I think when they got relegated, they had a massive overperformance the season before, and then they couldn't really keep it up in the second season they didn't really sign any players. So I think there are players there, for me, like Fleck and Sander Berge, who are definitely good enough to play in the Premier League. I'm a big fan of Sander Berge, and he was very close to leaving in January to a Premier League club, but they couldn't get a deal over the line. And I think he's a really solid central midfielder, really strong, good on the ball as well. I think he scored against us when they were in the Premier League as well.
He was linked with us at one point.
I think, he was linked with us a few times. He's a big, strong centre mid, and he's going to be one who they're going to look to provide that impetus for them. I know John Egan was a player. He scored the last-minute equaliser against Wrexham, and he was one who scored that last. He was one who was in the Premier League and didn't look out of place as well when he was there. So he's one at the centre back who looks decent. McBurney was still there, so they do have players who are used to playing at that level, and that experience will definitely help them in this kind of cup tie, in my opinion. And that's definitely something to worry about, because if things are maybe going against them, if they can just get through those periods with that experience, and maybe they will have a period where they start to get on top of us, and that could be an issue.
It is, Nishun, when you're looking at a team in the Championship, flying high in the Championship with a lot of experience in their team, Premier League experience as well. I mean, that is literally the definition of a big potential banana skin, isn't it?
Yeah, I think when you got a team high on confidence, near the top of their league, then in a way it doesn't matter what division they're in. When you go away from home to these clubs, and especially if you're taking it for granted, that's ripe for a shock, absolutely ripe for a cup shock, because they're going to come in with belief that they've been winning most weeks in the Championship, so they've got that winning feeling and that belief that they can go on and beat anyone. And I know they've lost a couple of games recently, but they have got back to winning ways just at the right time going into this cup tie. So they'll believe that they can get through this game. They've beaten us not so long ago at home as well. So under the lights, in a midweek game as well, where maybe we've played quite a few games recently, so they'll fancy their chances. They got kind of nothing to lose. They got nothing to lose in this game. The pressure's on Tottenham. They can go out and have a real good go at it. If they lose, then they lose. No one's going to blame them. But if they win, it'll be an unbelievable night for them, and it's a chance for them to get to the quarterfinals as well. So I think that going into this game, they'll fancy their chances, Sheffield United, for sure.
No, they will. But look, when you look at it, though, like Spurs, form team in the Premier League at the moment, when you look at the last 5 games, Sheffield United actually sit 12th in the Championship for their last 5 games in their form. And with 6,000 travelling fans going to make their voices heard at Sheffield United, we've got to be going there with a massive amount of confidence with the way we're getting our results at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that what's crucial is at the moment that we've seemed to found that defensive solidity. We're not taking. I think everyone seems to be working together at the moment and running, helping each other. I think the Leicester game, you saw that there was a lack of help for that back line, and I think maybe we've addressed that over the past few games, which is crucial. We're going to need that in this game. We're going to have to make sure that everyone's doing the right things. So obviously we've got to be confident. But I think we have to trust the squad to make a few changes, and that's going to be a big question mark. Like, I think, for example, Emerson's been so good. I do think Porro probably plays tomorrow, and it's whether the team can help him around him to make sure that he isn't as exposed as he was maybe in the last game against Leicester. We can't have a repeat performance of that game where we're kind of just going for it without any regard to how we treat our backline and just leaving them exposed. We've got to make sure we're doing the right things and doing the basics correctly. And then if we do that, we know we got the better quality players and we'll come out on top. But we just got to make sure that we don't underestimate what kind of challenge Sheffield United can bring tomorrow. But of course, we've got to be confident. We have to be confident, knowing who's out the FA Cup already, what a big opportunity this is, how we're playing at the moment in the Premier League, 4 wins in 5 games. You'd be stupid not to be confident going into this game that we can win and have a real good go at this FA Cup. But you just got to make sure that you don't go into this game thinking that you're definitely going to win, because that's where problems can occur.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also worth noting in the FA Cup this year, this will be the first round for extra time and penalties, so no replays if it's a draw. So it could be a very, very long night for us up at Sheffield tomorrow. If it does go extra time and penalties, we're literally looking at coming back at 4 in the morning, getting back at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning or something like that. So
bring it on.
Could be a late stream for you guys the following morning if that is the case. But look, I'm up for the challenge. I'm well up for going up tomorrow night and joining in the festivities, the atmosphere, and it's going to be a great atmosphere with 6,000 Spurs fans travelling up. And when you're looking at the game, what is your score prediction?
I'm going to go for Spurs to shade it. I think we're going to get a clean sheet as well. And I'm going to go for a 2-0 Spurs winner. And I think the way we've been playing recently, we've been very professional. We're not giving the opposition too many opportunities, albeit our last away game, to be fair, was a disaster. So we have to make sure that we're approaching the away games as well as we are approaching the home games. But I think we'll go. I think we'll be solid. The quality will tell at the other end of the pitch, and we'll come away with a victory. So I'm going Spurs to go through to the quarterfinals with a 2-0 win.
2-0. Yeah, I was going to say 2-0 to be fair. and we've gone for the same scoreline the last couple of games. So I'm thinking to change it up a little bit, but I think I may as well just stick with my gut feeling, which is 2-0 to Spurs.
We've gone for the same scorelines, but to be fair, they have come out. So like they've come out on the game, so we've been right pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, we said 1-0 West Ham, ended up being 2-0.
I said 2-0.
You said 2-0, yeah. I think in our previews you still said 1-0 though. But I think it's going to be a really difficult game, and I think the first goal is vitally important in this game, because if Sheffield United get the first goal, they can really set up to frustrate us. I've got the feeling Harry Kane will play in this game, just because like he always plays and they never take him out whatever the game is. I think in the last game, FA Cup game, did he play?
No.
He didn't play at Preston.
No, he didn't play at Preston.
And
that was the only game this season.
That's the only game he's missed this season. I do feel Harry Kane's still going to play in this game. And if Kane does, obviously that gives us that extra motivation and extra quality up front. And yeah, I'm going to go for 2-0 to Spurs. I hope Pedro Porro and Perisic do play at the wing backs, because I think that can give us such an avenue of attack going forward. But yeah, that's what I'm going for. I'm going for 2-0. My brother's going for 2-0 as well. Let me know in the score in the comments section below what your predictions are, and if you think Spurs will be advancing into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. I'm not sure when the draw is. I think it's going to be tomorrow night, right?
Probably. I don't know. I don't know. I'm assuming, yeah. I'm assuming it will be tomorrow
Let's not
night.
talk about the draw too early, because I hate jumping the gun like that.
Yeah, but looking as well at the other ties in the FA Cup, you've got Man United, West Ham, you've got Fulham versus Leeds. So you've got another 2 all Premier League ties. So another 2 Premier League teams are set to go out as well tomorrow. Whatever happens with the other teams, obviously Man City play away at Bristol, so you expect them to win. Brighton away at Stoke, you never know what can happen in that game. Especially if Brighton rest a few players. They don't have the strongest squad, Brighton, so they're playing very well. But if they rest a few players, you never know what's going to happen there. Leicester at home to Blackburn. That could be an interesting game, because Blackburn, I think, are playing quite well at the moment. So if we can get through Sheffield United, there's no guarantee what maybe Man United at home to West Ham, maybe they're going to be a bit of a hangover from winning the Carabao Cup. You never know. Maybe West Ham can cause a shock.
I wouldn't be totally surprised if West Ham caused a shock in that game, to be fair. I really wouldn't.
The only reason why I don't think they will is because they're probably going to focus on their relegation battle. So I'm assuming they're going to make a few changes as well. But you never know. So if we can get past Sheffield United, there could be some very interesting results in this week's FA Cup game. If you'll run through the whole FA Cup lineup: Stoke at home to Brighton, Leicester at home to Blackburn, Fulham at home to Leeds, Bristol at home to Man City, Southampton at home to Grimsby, Burnley at home to Fleetwood, Man United at home to West Ham, and Sheffield United at home to Spurs. Makes up the last 16, and then winners obviously go through to the quarterfinals. So should be interesting next couple of days. And tonight, obviously, the first rounds are tonight, so keep an eye on all the FA Cup action.
All right, so there you have it. That is the FA Cup this week. A massive game for Tottenham Hotspur. Hopefully we can advance tomorrow and really put our footprint into the FA Cup this year. I want to know your score predictions. I want to know where you think Spurs are going to go in the FA Cup this year. But it is time to bring on you guys for your say. If you want to join in on the conversation, go to the community section and click that link and come on and have your say. If you're not a gold member, then do come and join us and be part of the family and come on and have your say. But without further ado, let's go to KPV.
Hello.
Hey, Carl.
Oh, boys. Back again.
What shirt are you wearing, Kyle?
I'm wearing the Italy shirt, mate. Why?
Just wondering.
Yeah,
why?
mate?
Yeah,
why are you asking what shirt he's wearing,
Just
mate?
wondering. It looks like, I don't know. I was wondering what shirt you're wearing.
Italy. And I can see Brian Daigle is there. Big
What
up,
number?
boy.
What
Why are
number shirt?
you giving everyone spoilers? Brian Daigle's not coming on today.
He is.
No,
Nah,
he ain't. No, he isn't.
Nah.
I'm wearing the Bonucci shirt, mate. The one who scored against England. The one who scored in the final. And
Were you
Brian
supporting
Daigle's
Italy in the
twin
final,
brother.
Kyle?
Brian Daigle's twin brother. I know Brian Daigle's
Carl, what's going to happen tomorrow? Are we going to win?
Seriously, man, quit asking the question. You know we're going to win. And just before you mention, West Ham did knock Man United out of the Carabao Cup at Old Trafford last season. So, someone needs to get knocked out, and
Good point.
I expect West Ham to pull off a shock again. And
Didn't Man U beat them in the FA Cup last year? Or was
yeah,
that?
no, that was this one actually, lads. It was this season they knocked West Ham out.
No,
Of
they're
the
playing.
Carabao. I don't know.
No, Man United knocked West Ham out of the FA Cup this season. West
No,
Ham
they're
knocked
playing
Man
tomorrow,
They're
Carl.
playing tomorrow, Carl.
I'm on about West Ham knocked Man United out of the Carabao Cup last season, and they beat City on pen, but Liverpool won it. But FA Cup, Brian Daigle's been saying it for months. He wants the FA Cup more than top four, but I want the double, mate. I want FA Cup, Champions League, blood.
Yeah,
Have
forget top four.
confidence.
FA Cup and Champions League. That's what I like to hear.
I want three, mate. FA Cup, Champions League, top four, three. And so the double's still on. Have faith, boys. I said it to Jack and Dave. And yeah, have faith, people. But we're going to win tomorrow. Don't change the winning team. Like, I know some of you want changes, but like, yeah, don't change the winning team. But I want Kane to start because he
But
loves scoring against.
Carl, with a big game against Wolves away this weekend, big game against Milan next week during midweek. Do we not need to make some? Do we not need to make some rotation?
I would like, yeah, but Kane has to start, I'm afraid, because like he wants to keep breaking that record he's already got, like 268, like 269, and yeah, he can't stop scoring right now. But yeah, I want Kane to start, but maybe put Richie where Kane's position is, because the reason why Richie isn't scoring because he's playing on a wing. Like Richie did score when he was up front against Marseille last year, but put him up front, man. Put him on a striker position, not on the wing. That's why he's not scoring. So, but yeah, we don't make the choice. The manager does. But hopefully he'll be a striker tomorrow. But he's probably going to be playing on a wing again. But yeah, I'd probably give Dan the Man a start. Dan Juma, Bournemouth and Villarreal player. But yeah, that's the only change I would make. But Kulu hasn't been playing great, but he'll still start because he hasn't scored in the cup yet. He hasn't scored any cup goals, but I expect Kulu to start and Kane, but like Son will still be on the bench, obviously, and yeah, he's probably still going to be.
Carl, what's your prediction then for tomorrow? What's the score going to
I
be?
just said, I just put it in the chat. 4-1.
4-1.
4-1. Yeah, man. Goal scorer. Another skip banger, please. Another skip banger. But whose goal's better? I asked. I'm gonna say Skips is better than Wanyama. Sorry, boys, but I know Wanyama done it from a couple of yards. I know you guys were at Anfield, but Wanyama, oh. Gary Neville, lad. That's a Gary Neville impression for you.
Damn right. I think Gary Neville might be out of a job after that. But
Wanyama scored a banger, yeah? Like,
damn right.
more bangers tomorrow, please, and another Sonny banger and skip. So, yeah, we've seen some good bangers in N17 over the years, but Son's scored a few, and Skip's starting to learn them from Son and Kane. But yeah, another one tomorrow, please, and get the win. Then I'll see you at the game against Milan next week, boys.
All right, we'll see you later,
Big
Carl.
up, KPV. Thanks for coming on today, mate, and we shall speak to you very soon.
And as
you,
always, Levy out, Brian Daigle in. You're up next, Brian.
Spoilers.
And that is KPV. Seeing as he says Brian Daigle's up next, I think we have to just keep him on hold for a little bit and not bring him on just because KPV gave us the spoilers. But seeing as we have no one else, we may as well bring him on. Yes, Daigle. Wow, look at this. Looking dapper,
Good
looking
afternoon,
smart.
Fresh.
You ready for your meeting with Levy
Mate,
today or something? What's going on?
Oh, all I'd say to that is vroom vroom, isn't it? Really. But no, I've just come back from that interview that I needed in London. So I've come back. I dressed to impress, and let's just hope it was good enough. But how are you, boys?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. Gearing up for this game in the FA Cup tomorrow. You'll be in the studio for the watch along. Me and Sim going and making the trip up to Sheffield. How are you feeling coming into this one? I know how highly you regard this competition and how much you want to win it above anything else, really.
Yeah. For me, this game is so important to me. It's the biggest game we've got upcoming. This is the trophy that I hold very, very dear to my heart, as do a lot of Spurs fans. But obviously, I remember 1991. I remember the final we lost in 87. I was too young to remember 81 and 82, but I've watched those games many a time. This cup means something to Tottenham Hotspur. This cup means something to me. And this is, if you look at it, this is our most realistic chance for silverware, especially with a lot of the big boys out. We've got Man City and Manchester United, obviously, I think are the two big ones that are left. So this game is everything for me. Absolutely everything. I am pumped up, and I just want us to make sure we get this job done as quickly as possible.
In terms of team selection for tomorrow, are you of the thinking just go as strong as possible, maybe even an unchanged team from the last two games?
I don't want unchanged. I think let's start from the top. I want Harry Kane to have a rest. As much as I know that we need to progress, listen, like you said, we've got Wolves in the Premier League. If we're going for fourth, which is a realistic possibility now, he needs to have a rest somewhere. If we're to progress in the Champions League, we're coming back from a goal behind. I'd rather Harry Kane was on the bench for Wolves, and if he had to come on and get the job done or try to get the job done, rather than playing that game and putting another 90 minutes in or however many minutes it would be. And I'd like to see Richarlison in the middle and see what this guy can do in his prime position and give Son and Danjuma some minutes. I think Son starts regardless after having 2 games off the bench. He's going to start. As much as I'm loving seeing Ben Davies doing what he's done the last couple of games, he needs to be rested. There's players, we've got to look at this for game management. There are players that can be rested. I think Romero needs to carry on because he is coming back to where he is. But I think there should be some changes. But I would like to see a lot of the first team, or as many of the first team there that we can. But there are certain people I'd like to see rested. And like I said, Harry Kane is numero uno for me.
Does Porro get another run out tomorrow for you, Brian?
Again, do you know what, Sim? You look at it, and we've got to find ways for these players to get game time, haven't we? And Emerson has been sensational for the last few games, and there's no getting away from it. And he is certainly having an impact. Emerson? I think the thing we need to ask ourselves, Emerson, being as athletic as he is, and we know he's got the fitness and the stamina, is he one of those players that needs to continue playing to keep this run of form going and his confidence, or is taking him out for a rest so he's available for, again, Wolves and more essential? And I think I'm kind of leaning. I would like to see more of Porro, but I see a lot of people talk about Porro as well. He obviously offers that versatility of maybe playing up top on the right, or a bit more more advanced in the midfield. So I think this could be a good game for Porro to come in, but I can understand if Emerson starts. But would I like to see Porro? I'd probably shade on yes, I would.
That's the problem, isn't it? Because the way Emerson's playing at the moment, every game, fans seemingly are saying that. Like, I'd like to see Porro today, but I'd understand if Emerson keeps the shirt. That's the problem, isn't it?
I mean, you got to look at this as well, Ben. We saw what happened when we took it, or forget Emerson going out, Porro making his debut at Leicester. He just didn't know what to do with himself. He wasn't like what Conte has said about Basuma not being tactically aware of the patterns of play and everything like that. Now, I heard you mentioning it both when you were talking. Bramall Lane is a very hostile and tough place to go to. Those fans are going to give what for. They will be non-stops. I mean, I remember when we beat them in the Carabao Cup semi-final. I was at the home leg, not at the away leg. And at the home leg, they were out singing us. They were absolutely sensational. So they are going to make that place a fortress. Can Porro deal with that and deal with the pace and the ferocity of a championship team? Again, that's up in the air, but we've got to try and give him some minutes somehow, somewhere. And could the FA Cup be the avenue to do it? Maybe.
Score prediction, Brian?
I'm going 3-1 Spurs. I want, like I said, I want this cup so badly. I can't explain or put into words just what winning this cup would mean for me, and for the club as a whole. So let's just hope we can get the job done. And from what I remember now, there's no replays, isn't it? It goes to extra time and penalties if need be.
Exactly. So it could be a long night for you in the studio tomorrow, Brian.
Well, it could be. And
Get
you know
your
what? That's
sleeping
another
bag,
reason.
Brian. Get your sleeping bag.
I've already saved it under the couch, mate. It's there already. I've got my my evacuation kit ready to go if should anything happen at the We Are Tottenham TV HQ. But just finally, that's the other thing you've got to remember. With this potentially going to extra time and penalties, do you want Harry Kane starting and then potentially playing 120 minutes and a penalty shootout? Again, put him on the bench. If it does look like it's going to extra time and penalties, you need him there. I don't want to see him have 120 minutes and potentially a penalty shootout. This is what we've got to manage and look at.
I agree. I agree.
It's a good points raised there, Brian. But look forward to seeing you guys. Everyone catch Brian Daigle on the watch along tomorrow night. And obviously the fan shows are coming and have your say after we beat Sheffield United in the FA Cup tomorrow. But Brian, one last question. Is our name on the FA Cup this year? How realistic do you think it is?
I so want to say it is, but I'm scared. I want it to be. Listen, I think the way I'll put it, if we avoid Manchester United until the final, then we have every single goddamn chance. I'm just worried. Man City, we all know if we get them at home or away, depending what Tottenham turns up, we've got their number. We can do something, but we know what we're like against top six, and I'm not counting Chelsea in that right now because they're not in that top six. That's the only tie that really worries me if we get United. But I want to say yes. We've got to believe that this cup can be ours, and I want it so badly to be. So I'm going to go, do you know what? I'm going bloody well. Yes, it is.
Come on, loving the positivity. Big up, Brian. We'll see you very soon.
You will. And as always, Levy out.
Nice one, Brian. Like I said, if you do want to come on and have your say, the link is in the community section. Do we have anyone else waiting? There is no one else waiting.
Anyone fancy coming on talking about the Sheffield United game?
But it is mental when you're looking at our FA Cup kind of history in the last 4 or 5 years. It's been so dreadful. It's been absolutely tragic, the teams that we've lost to on a consistent basis, seeing as the 2 years before that was 2 semi-finals, wasn't it? We lost to Chelsea and Man United. And then since then, we haven't got past this round. It's just mental to me.
Haven't got to the quarterfinals since then. Yeah, we've had some really... wouldn't call unlucky, but some terrible defeats. Like Norwich on penalties was horrific.
I still have nightmares of that Jedson Fernandez penalty.
That was terrible. We should have absolutely battered them that game, and we end up going out on penalties. I think Michel Vaughan made a really bad mistake late on as well. That Everton game, we should have won that game when we end up losing 5-4.
That was like our best performance of the season.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. 3-1 down, we turned it around. We just kept up. We just couldn't get ahead in that game. It was a nightmare. Ended up going out in extra time 5-4.
Lamella was awesome that day, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think Sanchez scored twice as well.
Yeah.
Last season, Middlesbrough away, we deservedly went out on extra time again. I remember Kieran Trippier missing a penalty when we went out to Palace one year under Pochettino as well.
I remember that. Yeah,
we lost. We ended up losing 2-0, I think. So we've had we've had some really bad luck over the last few seasons. And as you say, even those semi-finals, Chelsea, when we lost 4-2, we were a better team. Should have got through to the final then. And then losing 2-1 to Man United, when that was so annoying because we took an early lead. And you thought, all right, this is going to be our season. We're actually going to go through to the final. We ended up just... That was a proper Spursy as well, because we just bottled it a bit because we were on top, we were playing well, then things went against us and we ended up crumbling. So hopefully, look, maybe we can put it right this year. Who knows?
Yeah, let's hope so. I was just looking at these stats. I mean, Harry Kane, do you know how many goals he scored in the FA Cup? And who our top goal scorers in the FA Cup?
Is it not Kane?
No, it's not Kane.
Kane's not our top goal scorer in the FA Cup?
Not by far.
What, Greaves?
Greaves with 32.
32 goals in the FA Cup. Bloody hell. That's a lot of goals.
Harry Kane has 14 only.
14.
Jermaine Defoe has 15.
Defoe loved the FA Cup.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Defoe loved the FA Cup. He always scored in it.
And
Kane will obviously break it very soon.
Yeah, Sonny's on 12 with deadlock with Robbie Keane. Yeah.
It's because we sometimes rest Kane in the FA Cup, it seems.
True.
A lot of the time, so he doesn't always play. But
yeah, I think if no one's going to come on, I guess we will leave it there. Predicted lineup and the February performance tier list is coming your way today. Obviously, me and Sim will be up in Bramall Lane tomorrow, getting you all the content from in and around the stadium, all the celebrations, hopefully, or all the heartache from up at Bramall Lane tomorrow. And you'll have Brian Daigle. Who's Daigle with tomorrow in the watch along?
Who is Daigle with? He'll surprise us. No, I'm joking.
Daigle is with Barry. Something
Nice.
inside so strong. So I trust both of them to bring us into the next round of the Cup with the watch along with you guys. But tune in for them and you'll see the vlog from us a bit later on that night. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.